Pronhorn, is that how you say it? And that's limited my Welsh. And thank you for inviting me here to Cardiff and to the Marine Energy Wales conference to talk about ocean energy in, for, and from Europe, but also to share the European Commission's enthusiasm for blue energy from the sea. I'm very impressed to see so many people here, and I will get to the point later why we have actually also come here to the conference. If you look at Cardiff Castle, it's, I think I just read yesterday evening that its walls date back to the Romans, to 2,000 years ago. If you look along the coast of the Atlantic, you can find tidal mills from the Middle Ages, or from those historic times when people used the power of the tide to power their mills to grind their corn. But what happens today is another start, another maybe the birth of an industry that can create new jobs and new economic growth, mainly in coastal areas and communities, but also throughout supply chains that can reach far inland. The ocean energy industry will at the same time help the European Union meet our ambitious low carbon objectives. If we want to limit global warming, we will need to reduce our emissions drastically. And the EU has the long-term objective of reducing the emissions by 2050 by 80 to 95% compared to 1990. By that same year, if all the conditions are met, ocean energy could meet about 10% of the EU's power demand, while cutting as many emissions as CO2 emissions as a country like Spain emits in a whole year. And Europe is in a pole position in the race to clean ocean energy. We have excellent natural conditions around our coasts for tidal and wave energy. We have world-class marine and offshore engineers, and we have highly motivated entrepreneurs. Europe is home to 2/3 of the companies, the test centers, and installed capacities in this sector worldwide. Ocean energy in Europe accounts for 2,000 high-skilled jobs, 70% of them in cutting-edge research and development. So it's no surprise that Europe has a strong global leadership in wave and tidal technologies. And this is also thanks to cooperation across many member states of the European Union. Companies from this sector are active in countries as diverse as the UK and Ireland, but also Denmark, Sweden, Germany, Finland, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Spain, Belgium, Portugal, Norway. I could go on. This is just the companies active in ocean energy, but the supply chain extends even further. I didn't bring a presentation because I'm not producing anything. That's the industry who does it. And I'm looking forward to see how plans in Wales have advanced, and also what we're going to see over the day. But the good news is, and that's what we like to see, that we are moving since a couple of years from artists' impressions to pictures of real stuff that is in the water and that is turning or moving and producing energy. More and more devices have been installed and are now operating under real conditions. And 2017 was a particularly good year. The worldwide number of devices in the water actually doubled. Much of this growth happened in Europe. Just to name Maine, Scots Renewables, Naval Energies, to name a few who actually installed devices. Some of them now have tens of thousands of operational hours behind them, and we are approaching the 10 gigawatt mark in terms of energy production from the ocean. So the stage is set for success, and we have seen a similar success story in the wind energy, in the offshore wind energy sector. And what we've seen there is that it takes time to develop mature and efficient technologies. But we have also seen that once these technologies reach a tipping point, they can move on at an astonishing speed. And when they enter the commercialization and industrialization phase, production costs begin decreasing. So an industry that hardly existed 25 years ago in Europe now employs 150,000 people, and that's more than fisheries. As Martin said, I work in the Maritime and Fisheries Directorate General, so we always compete with our colleagues, but it's a fact that the blue economy is far more than just fisheries and employing a lot of people. Back to ocean energy, we are not there yet. But over the next decade, ocean energy could very well go down a similar path. The European Commission is determined to support this development to the best of our ability. We want to maintain Europe's technological leadership and keep the competitive edge that we have. We estimate that some 3 billion euros have been invested in ocean energy in Europe over the past 10 years. The majority of this came from the private sector, was privately financed. This confirms what we know. Renewable energy requires major upfront capital. When I started my job about two years ago, working on ocean energy, we did a research. What is actually happening in terms of investment? What are regions in Europe doing to support? And I did a quick Google search, European Regional Development Fund, renewable energies. What popped up was Wales. I'm now not saying this just to compliment the EU, but I really would like to congratulate Wales for not only for attributing 100 million euros to renewable energies, but also for making it extremely transparent. Every expenditure that comes from the European taxpayers and that is spent in Wales is on the website. Everything is there, and that's something we haven't found in other regions. So really congratulations for that. But one thing is clear. The European Union cannot single-handedly fund an entire industry. What we do is that we can work with member states to align our funding policies and with regions, and make sure that they are pointing in the same direction. And luckily, some of this is already happening, and Wales, again, is a good example. But also in other regions in Europe, European funds are allowing them to invest in technological developments, test centers, supply chain, and port infrastructure. We have also increased the funding for research and development. And since 2014, we have spent 124 million for about 17 research and demonstration projects, generating a total research investment of some 270 million euros. And we are now working with the colleagues working in research and development in the European Commission to see that ocean energy also remains a priority in the next research framework program, so when we talk about the future funding after 2020. Ocean energy developers, as devices are being put in the water, are also increasingly qualified to apply for long-term guaranteed loans from the European Investment Bank. There is an Innofin Energy Demo Projects program, which has already financed one project, but which has the potential to finance many more. And then on the other end of the scale, we have adapted our support to innovating small and medium enterprises. We are working on establishing an investment platform for the blue economy. And on the 17th of May in Brussels, we are organizing a Blue Invest matchmaking event where we want to bring businesses from the blue economy sectors and investors together. We already have around 400 people who have signed up. We made a competition for making pitches at this event. 20 companies were selected, and the result was published yesterday. 4 out of these 20 come from the ocean energy sector. If you Google Blue Invest Brussels 2018, you will be able to look onto that site. But the success of the sector will not just depend on the money. We also need to put in place the right regulatory conditions. The Cabinet Secretary already mentioned a couple of those conditions. Those are conditions that should ensure that investors, that their money is in good hands. This includes giving companies access to the maritime space. Good maritime spatial planning can increase public acceptance and help avoid possible conflicts at sea, for example, between fisheries and ocean energy developers. I was going to encourage you participants here to contribute to the Wales Marine Plan, but I hear that the consultation is closed, and happy also to hear that a lot of you contributed. Finally, we need more information how ocean energy plants interact with the environment. And we are supporting projects that carry out the environmental monitoring of wave and tidal devices, so that as a result of those projects, policymakers will have a better idea how to assess the technology's environmental impacts and provide guidance also for consenting procedures. This is not just in the interest of the environment, but in the interest of developers as well. So, to conclude, working at sea is complex, expensive, and risky. In that sense, ocean energy is perhaps neither the obvious nor the easy choice. What you are doing is difficult. But when we take into account that energy from the sea is more productive and more predictable than any other renewable energy source, when we consider the European Union's strong comparative advantage on ocean energy technologies, when we think of the jobs and growth that this sector could deliver, then I think the benefits far outweigh the costs. And I look forward to hearing more today how this is happening, and I wish us a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Felix. Thank you very much indeed.